to deal with nightmare Etsy customers. I know many sellers are really worried about nightmare customers scamming them, so it's a great idea to have some plans in place for common scenarios and how to deal with them if they pop up with you to hopefully turn those nightmares into happy customers. And for something a bit different, if you're fed up of seeing me just sit here, I thought you might like to come on a hike with me. I'd planned to record this whole thing on a hike. For those of you more observant, you might have noticed my background's a little different today. That is because it's a beautiful day in Scotland, so it's the law that we have to get outside. So we're going to climb a hill today, as see, but it turned out to be way too peoply to talk on camera. I hope you like seeing the view though. Out of breath already, but check out that sky. The very first thing to be aware of before you start dealing with customers is that it's not just sellers who hear horror stories. Buyers are also very wary of buying online and have heard horror stories about Etsy sellers as well. So both sides may be reading tones into messages that are just not there. Always do your best not to take what the buyer says personally, and do not assume things are a scam from the very beginning, but also don't fold at the first setback, offering refunds for the fear of a bad review. Make sure you know your policies, Etsy policies, and the laws regarding distance selling, and importantly, make sure and understand Etsy's purchase protection program. Etsy are a little trigger happy with this program, so do your best to make sure your items are eligible for the program, and then you can always fall back on my favorite customer support strategy. I call it bigger boys. I want to help, but it's out of my hand. Here, let me help you with the steps you need to do, and please keep me updated with the result. The bigger boys can be Etsy, the postal service, or even the police. It's amazing how often in the past items magically turned up when I asked them to file a report with the police for the item being stolen from their front porch, because I can't process this issue with the post office without a crime reference number. Etsy kind of has us covered for that with a PPP, but still remember this type of thinking. So here are some of the scenarios I've seen and you guys shared with me in my community tab. Is this item still available? It's a sign of how wary sellers are. When they get a message like this, they assume it's a scam. Much more likely the buyer has had issues in the past with ordering things, then the order being cancelled because the seller didn't have the item. If you get this question a lot, then make a polite saved reply and file it back to the customer, letting them know that all the items in your shop are available. Package was empty. Direct them to the steps to get their money back with the purchase protection program. This does happen, although yes, it can be a scam. We don't know. Let Etsy take the financial hit. They'll know how often the customer tries this kind of a thing and be able to ban scammers. If your item's not covered under the purchase protection program, hopefully your receipt shows the weight of the item you shipped out. Ask for the police crime number so you can chase up the theft with the post office, and when you get the refund from the post office, you'll refund the customer. Don't give them anything for free. Tracking says it's here, but it's not. Often the driver scans the item before they deliver it. Ask your customer to wait a day or so and check with their neighbours. You may be able to see the GPS or even an image of where the parcel was delivered to. Have the buyer check everything's correct with their address. If they've put in the wrong address, then you are very sorry, but there's nothing you can do. If they say it was a glitch and they'd put in a different address, then have them contact Etsy. You did your part by shipping to the address you were given. No tracking and it didn't turn up? I get this often. Shipping to your location usually takes around 2 weeks, but it can take up to 4 weeks. I checked my records, and here's the day your item was shipped on. It's on its way to you and should be with you very soon. If you don't see it by this date, can you get back to me, please? And after this time period, walk them through the purchase protection program. It's damaged. Ask for a photo and ask the condition of the packaging when they got it. Was there a note from the post office? Etsy's purchase protection program will cover this for one item a year, and it's a good time to rethink your packing. Was it a one-off mistake from the post office, or can you take this as good feedback to ship more securely? I didn't order this. Again, Photos of what they did get, compare it to what they ordered, and share with them the order details. If it was your mistake, of course, always rectify the fault, but if not, pass them on to Etsy to look into the matter. See if it was a glitch with their order or the security of their account. This is a good place to remind you to treat the customers with compassion. If their account has been hacked, or that's what they're claiming, then it's on Etsy to deal with. Don't dismiss them with, "It's not my fault," or suggest they're not telling the truth. Commiserate with them. "Oh no, how terrible. I'm afraid there's nothing I can do my end." But if you contact Etsy, and also it might be a good idea to contact your bank to make sure everything's okay. "This isn't what I wanted." Did they not read the description? What are your policies? It's usually decent customer service or even the law to accept an item back and refund, minus the shipping, after it's been returned to you in the original condition you sent it. Different if it was custom made for them. If it's different to what they expected from your listing, then Etsy will refund this. They don't contact you, they just leave a bad review. Customers are not obliged to message you. They may have had bad experiences with other sellers getting shouty with them. Add to that, Etsy sends too many prompts to review an item. Take the review as the customer's communication with you. Address the issue, not the way they communicated with you. And this is the hard part, don't beg or demand they change the review. Don't give them money back in the hope of a good review. Deal with the issue they had. And perhaps, sadly, we sometimes just have to eat a bad review. That's part of running a shop. They buy a fragile item and then break it. If it breaks in shipping, then treat that the same as if it's damaged. Ask them to check the packaging, direct them to the PPP, and review yourself if your packaging is okay. If it breaks when they're opening the item, yeah, that happens more than you would think. Make sure it's not your fault. Overly packaged or not clear packaging can be hard to open. In the past, from sellers, I've received items with a little handwritten "open here," "pull here," or "cut here" on the parcel, or a cute sticker with opening instructions. That is a cool little bit of customer service that can make it easier on the customer. But if they were unreasonable with the unpacking, then treat it the same way as if they broke it when in use. Is it overly fragile for its intended use? If so, then perhaps rethink the item or give many more warnings on your listing and packaging. Is there a chance there was a defect with this item? Make that right with the customers and check your manufacturing or quality procedures. Customer orders something smelly and then complains that it's smelly. People are great, aren't they? But bear in mind, what's common knowledge to you is not common knowledge for everyone. Make sure in your descriptions you describe this feature. Even add an FAQ flyer to the box to let them know if they're new to a certain type of item that it has a distinctive odour. Hope this helps you think of new ways to deal with your customer. Not being a pushover, but also not being a nightmare yourself. I've found often very particular customers are just worried about being scammed themselves. Once they've had a great experience with you, then they can become the biggest, happiest return customers. Doesn't that seem worth a few extra messages? And don't customer support angry. A break can make all the difference. Perhaps not always a 3-hour hike up a hill, but getting away from the issue does help. I also hope you enjoyed my hill climb. If you liked it, I may take you all with me for another hike soon. I have a waterfall that I want to explore and hopefully find.